Whew, okay, we made it live. Seems like the rate between OBS connecting with YouTube is getting slower and slower, and every time it takes a little longer, and I think maybe this time it dies.
Weird.
Nice coffee to have while I'm in the green room. I guess the green room doesn't really need to be as long as it used to be, really, because I'm sure, like, in the future, if you would be, what is that? But, like, if you're watching this later, yeah, I'm going to sit through 5 minutes just staring at this dumb logo. So, well, also, Kayla, here's the thing. So, I should have started with sitting, because when we were doing that thing in the chat, it immediately made me think of the Jack Johnson song, Sitting, Waiting, Wishing. Because I think I either worked at a movie theater at the time that came out, or I was seeing a lot of movies when that music video was in front of a lot of, like in the trailer spots. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what that song is.
I mean, it's a typical Jack Johnson song. He's like Dave Matthews, but without anything.
Yeah. The only song I know is the one that I don't know if he did it in the Curious George movie or if it was in the Curious George movie, but like the music video had Curious George in it, I think.
Oh, yeah, Upside Down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like that. He's a very
bland.
Yeah,
It's kind of like how John Mayer started.
Well, John Mayer was always a talented guitar player.
Oh,
he was just not a very good something. Something wasn't right.
He grew up 2 towns over from...
Woo, 2 towns over. That's where Bart Simpson got his dog. I don't recognize the song either. Well, you're both going to have to Google it afterwards because the music video is actually kind of cute. It's all filmed backward, or it's filmed forwards, but it's then played backwards, so they had to do everything backwards. It's not important.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, it's me, Dave. Welcome to the show. Kayla, are the 21 stars on the logo significant? Negative. Unless, here's the disclaimer, unless the person I told to make it finds that number significant. My only outline was the backdrop of space, the guy, everything you see. I just didn't, I didn't say specifically 23 stars. 21 stars, sorry. Whatever it is. But happy coincidence, am I right? It's Flamingo Friday. Look, I'm wearing my spirit animal shirt. Also drinking out of my spirit animal Tervis cup. Let's get Kristen here. You know she's over there. There she is.
I've got my flamingo
Christmas
necklace.
She's dressed up for Christmas. I do have a flamingo Christmas shirt, but
you do.
Whatever. My favorite one I was missing. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go over what my laundry is on air. So let's, I guess, just jump right into it. So a present, it's always a present topic because we're always in now. But something that's coming up a lot around here, and I figured we might as well crack it open and talk about it, is the idea of living in the present fully, which may sound counterintuitive. Because you say, well, where else can you be, right? If you think about it.
Right.
So, yeah, where else can you be? So I want to run a little experiment with you.
Oh, God.
So it's Friday as of this recording. Hey, it's live. It's a live everything everywhere. Thanks for showing up. It's Friday night, and the moon is right. Can I have some fun? Show you how it's done TGIF. Am I right? No, okay. So, maybe. Kayla, sorry. I'm getting distracted again. So it's Friday night. Let's say, those of us got to go back to work on Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, since it's Friday, it's far enough away. You're not thinking like, whoa, no, not work. But how does Sunday feel as compared to Friday?
Well, for people that don't want to go to work on Monday. It's like, oh, I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Let's talk as if it's just you and me because there's nobody else here. So let's not involve third parties, right?
It's,
So
ugh, I don't wanna go
how
to
does
work
your
tomorrow.
Friday feel versus your Sunday feel? It's like Friday's like nice and light and airy. It's like cutting into a nice flaky fish,
Yeah, it's
right?
like, oh, David doesn't have to leave, at 5:45 in the morning to go to work.
Yeah, but then
tomorrow.
Sunday feels like it's heavy.
Oh God, David's got to get up at 5:45.
It's like a
to go to
heavy,
work.
heavy ball of oatmeal sitting over your head, just waiting to plop on it.
Kind of,
So,
sometimes.
what is that feeling? How would you describe that feeling?
Of it being Sunday.
Yeah, like like on a sliding scale. I mean, we're obviously gonna have to push it to 11 to show you the obvious direction in which we are headed. But if you are looking to the future and getting anxious about it, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm anxious about it, but I guess that's what it is.
It's a low level hum.
Yeah.
What is 3 volts versus 120 volts?
Well, yeah.
If your Sunday whatever you wanted to say, you say from noon on it's ruined because now the clock starts ticking till bedtime or whatever you're gonna be
Right.
thinking. Like that's a low level hum of anxiety, and that's just for another normal day.
Yeah.
So just something simple as that. That's the everyday example. Let's say you've got a big something due, or you're a student, or there's a big whatever, something going on at work, there's a meeting or whatever. Then you can really crank it up.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're almost always, when you look into the future, it becomes something to worry about.
Yeah.
Seldom do you look into the future. Not that it doesn't happen, but 9 times out of 10, we're looking into it to try and be like, oh, you need to reach out and try to control it, try to prepare for it, buffer yourself for it, like get your defenses up. And all of right now gets blown for the preparing of something that is obviously coming, number one. But number two, isn't going to be that bad once you're there. Like it's always now. But so tomorrow morning, let's say it's Sunday, tomorrow being Monday, that always comes and goes. So even thinking, that's why I'm saying typically on this show, I say I'm against planning except for a very bare bones thing. And that is exactly why. Because here's a nice analogy. If you don't keep it bare bones and you keep building and building and you build a Frankenstein's monster and it only serves to hurt you in the end, it turns against its master. Because if you are going to plan something to the nth degree, you're setting yourself up for letdowns because you can't control anything because you say, well, I made this plan. Well, the future doesn't care. It doesn't exist. It's right now, and as the time ticks, you're looking at this plan, and it's playing out in real time, and you're going, no. I mean, I'm holding a list, like people hold paper lists anymore. You'd be holding a phone, obviously, or something maybe a clay tablet. So so every time you leave now to look or try to plan or predict the future, not so great, right? So when you get there and you realize you're there, you pull yourself back or try to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we can go backwards because we've been blessed with not only an imagination that gives us, our predictive powers of the future and our anxieties like that. We also have a memory that we get to drudge up all of our old crap for. Or not for, we drudge it up for the fun of it, I think. Because that's the thing. Once you admit or you at least come to terms that you're the one propelling the furthering of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you say it instead of I, then you had not even made the first step. If you look to the past, you say it keeps popping up. This memory, it keeps popping up. Whatever the case may be, because
Isn't it though part of you?
if you want to get out on a wider scope of things, yes.
So
Everything
how
is
do
you.
you a memory keeps popping up? I can't be like I keep popping up in my head. If it is a part of me, then I can say it as an it.
Right, but who is calling it up? And then who is feeding it by keeping it alive, by going back over it, by playing it this way, that way, and the other way?
Well, yeah, it's me.
Right. So that's just it. It's the same thing with the future. Once you're in the future, you're anxious about what could possibly not or happen or not, rather. When you're thinking about the past, you're worried about making those mistakes again and trying to go over them and beating yourself up and trying to learn that magic golden whatever they have to unlock. But it never happens. You just sort of run yourself through the mud and then you get up and you're all dirty again. You go, ugh. So you come back to the present, because you're tired of wallowing in the past. And then when you get bored here, you look at your phone and you get pulled into the future or you get pulled into the past from wherever. So that's basically it. I don't want to make it too like philosophical or metaphysical, because it's basically, there's no secret. Like when you are constantly where you are and living life uninterrupted, you're not worried about what's coming up. You really relax into a situation where you're not like on the hunt for stuff anymore. Because when you're on the hunt for stuff, you're anticipating a shortage, which causes anxiety. And when you sort of click into that not having to hunt mindset or not having to worry about the future mindset, and you settle into now, you get to be here. Because how much of right now are you making a memory of? If right now you're spending your time remembering, the bad times that you could have done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing now? Oh, I'm working on it. Why doing what? Doing the same thing you've always been doing. It's like if your tire goes flat in your car and you pull out a bicycle pump and then you don't even bother even connecting, like going through the facade of connecting the pump to the tire. You just start pumping away and hoping through some sort of magic the tire will get the bicycle pump's expelled air. So you have to look at what you are doing. And that's the part that everybody sort of gets confused over is... Or not, maybe not confused, but it causes tension, because when you would not admit, because it's not like you're ignorant of it. You know who is behind your pair of eyes driving you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having to like realize and accept that you are the things that you are. It sucks to start. I'm not going to, you can't, there's no other way around it, especially like depending on where you came up, if you have a lot of baggage or you have a lot of whatever tension or bad memories or whatever in your past, we're in a culture that really prizes those as character building.
Yeah, because that's what makes everybody different.
Right, and that's the thing. What is if you think about it, when you meet someone new at work or let's say on the bus or wherever you go, you're at the bar, like what are the most common stories you hear from
It's
people?
always the negative stuff.
Yeah, it's always like, would you believe that I
Everybody
got out of
one-ups
this
each other.
situation? Yeah. And so that's what we prize. So that's where we're fundamentally sort of stuck, is we love the fact that our past gave us this character, it gave us these fun stories, but they're only fun when we're reliving them and sort of as a play. But that's just it. It is a play. Keeping the past alive in your head is just a play. It's a game you're playing on yourself, because no one is making you, no one is forcing you, and there's no money involved. You're not gaining anything. You're not losing anything. You're just doing something for the fuck of it. If you boil it down, because I can't speak for everybody, just probably humans with the same brain architecture as other humans, But if I'm honest with you, every time I get stuck in a cycle of the past or thinking about the future, I do enjoy it a little bit, but it's getting less and less of a thing because I'm realizing, it's not a popping thing necessarily. For some people it is, for some people it isn't. But every once in a while you'll get some scent or a sight or a sound that'll trigger a memory. It'll flash before your eyes. And, you maybe breathe a little life into it for a little bit to sort of give it a good, it's like a crash test dummy. You get to beat up in your mind for a little bit. But I can only do that now, having whatever 1,000 steps on that journey where I let it go on its entire ride.
Well, so what happens when, something in the present happens that then let you relive everything again because of whatever happened in the present?
Because you're looking for it. You love that thing, so you're looking for the things that remind you of it. You're still, here's the thing. It's a twisted kind of love because it's a love-hate relationship. The thing you are getting, triggering as a response mechanism to whatever memory you're conjuring up, you've fed it so much, it's got a hair trigger. And so you're basically subconsciously looking for things to pop it. Like you can say, well, it's this or well, it's that. It's any outside influence. But, that's just it. You are in control of you. You can, it may take time, it may take patience, and it may take meditation or study or skill or whatever you want to do to get it. But you need to realize that you're the one in control of your life. Mm-hmm. And that's right now. Thinking about the past, no matter how long you do it, will not fix or change or augment or whatever right now, aside from you blowing more time right now in the past. Same thing with the future. Everything you have done and will do will still be a beautiful cascading, pattern of cause and effect that will ripple throughout the universe. It's just how much do you want to give a shit about it and stress over it before you can sort of lay back, relax, and accept it. It's the idea of basically the real idea of karma. If you live now, you can realize that your every action, which is karma, is Sanskrit for action, your every action ripples out not necessarily ripples out or all the mystic stuff, but everything you do sets off events. And everything that everybody else and everything else does, we're all a moving pattern. So trying to control any aspect of it is insane. Or trying to pretend you can control any aspect of it. All you do is worry in the present, and then when the future that now you've worried about so long and so hard about is now the present, it's ruined because every expectation has been dashed. So you've made a pile of nails to sit in as a new pile of nails is made by you, and then you get to roll over into it and then wonder why nothing's changed. Because we keep trying harder and harder and harder to make a better plan. If only I thought about this, if only I'd considered that. But that'll be forever. So don't worry about it. If your intentions in whatever you're doing, according to whatever needs you have here in the present, are pure because they're coming from the need, then you're going to get everything done perfectly regardless. If it's, I realize holiday meals are a different sort of thing, but if you were one of those people who planned out every meal they had, and so you knew what you're going to eat for the next 6 months, you're setting yourself up for disappointment for a lot of stuff, because if you're not, you shouldn't be living so regimented Number one, because you're planning a future based off of yada 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 yada. So you're sacrificing everything now in essence of this payoff at the end of the line. So you're only fighting and struggling and striving and burning now and the opportunity you have now to actually work on that stuff instead of be anxious about it. Because you think, okay, well, what can I do about it right now? That's what everybody says. Like, well, what can you do about it right now? And if the answer is nothing, then relax, like chill out. Or maybe, you don't have to be pushing all the time either. Like the future is coming at whatever pace, we can talk about time and space if you want to later, but the pattern of life is unfolding as is. You can't force it any faster and you can't, drag it back any slower. So you just live here where you only are and quit popping out to try and fix or predict. And it's just a matter of repetition. That's it. If you can find something or some way or just work on being conscious of your own thoughts and your own feelings, because your body will give you, indicators. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about the past and getting depressed, that stimulates a certain feeling in you. If you're thinking about the future and being anxious, it stimulates a completely different feeling somewhere else. So all you have to do is right now, not worry about, well, I'm trying now. When it actually happens, go, fuck. It's the only time I stopped trying. I was trying the whole time that there were no stakes. And then when the stakes got raised, I stopped trying. Shit. You wait until that time. And if it happens, within the next whatever, don't beat yourself up over it if you don't catch it early enough for yourself. Because it's like running a marathon. You have to practice around that little donut at a high school for weeks, months, years, etc. Then you go on to doing the marathon. But you got to start going around that little track. And it's kind of like the opposite, because you're okay. So I'm in the middle of this book called The Essentials of Dogen, which is basically a summarization. He's a Zen monk from a long, long time ago. He wrote the Shobogenzo, and he has a really good metaphor for this type of stuff. He says, your thoughts are like a horse running wild, and your emotions are like a monkey jumping and leaping. So if you sit and be calm, and the horse and the monkey naturally come to sort of a homeostasis, because your thoughts are racing forward, and typically your emotions are all over the place based on that. Mm-hmm. So, if you now we can see the pattern realistically, metaphorically, you can we have concepts of it in our mind. What is stopping us from implementing them?
I don't know. Fear.
Yeah. So that leads us to another thing. So if you, this is also another confusing thing, because when you embark on a journey of self-improvement or spirituality or whatever, the term or the concept of a path is thrown around a lot, which I think is confusing and misleading, ironically. Because when you say, I'm on the path, like they say Buddhism is a path, Hinduism is a path, Christianity is a path, blah, 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 path. I'm on the path to blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. It's only a path when you look behind, because you can remember where you were and see, quote unquote, and feel how far you have come. But every step you take forward is into the void, because if you look around, where are you going? How do you can visualize metaphorically a path you are on, because you can say from birth till now I've been on a path. But from where you look down at your feet forward or in any direction, where is it? It's the void. You're making it as with every step you take as you go.
Like leaving breadcrumbs behind you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because we have something called the memory. We think that it is pushing the present toward the future, but it's not. We're building it as we go. So that's the thing. When you look down, people think that, when you're on this path to enlightenment or whatever, living in the now or knowing the self or whatever, locking into right now, people expect
Like milestones?
Yeah, a milestone or a book or a sticker collection or whatever, something to mark and make progress. But there isn't any, because there isn't any progress to living right now. That's the key. You don't have to do anything or achieve anything or strive for something that's already here. You're sacrificing right now, which is always the moment of now, to the future of the past. You can stop it right now. That's how you can take control. You don't think about what could happen, because anything could happen and things will happen. But worrying about them won't change them, except it will destroy your experience through life. No one ever, I mean, this is cliche, but no one on their deathbed ever says, I didn't worry about the future enough. They all look back at the time they wasted worrying and feeling bad about one or the other. And that's the thing, you can point, but what is it? When I say look behind you for a path, what I'm metaphorically, you have a collection of memories chronologically, apparently to you. There's still nothing behind you. You are just here in the universe, a part of it all, moving as a piece of it through time and space as one. So here you are right now. The past, dunzo, gone. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't like a whitewashing of like, boom, past is gone. We're not even thinking about it anymore. No, you can still remember happy things. The point is you're not torturing yourself with it. It becomes an encyclopedia or a point of reference. Your imagination becomes unlocked. Instead of using your memory to destroy your now or your imagination to destroy your now, those both get unlocked and they can work in conjunction. You can take something you remember and add something imaginarily onto it from the future, wherever else. But you only get access to all that fun stuff if you're not beating yourself up in the game of life. Like if in Monopoly, you're always worried about how those dice are going to land and where on the board you're going to have a plan to get, it's the game of chance. Or like literally the game of life. You're really spinning a wheel. You have zero actual input aside from zzz, Mm-hmm. So there's an infinite number of factors acting in your brain, in your arm, in your body, in your hand, in that wheel, in the atmosphere. And it all rolls out. And you don't get upset over it. You roll with it. You roll with everything you go with. If life... If metaphorically the game of life could be lost, that would be insane. There's milestones for which we culturally point to. But there's no winning and no losing. It's all just a random game. But you can be the person playing the game of life who's getting worked up and like I used to play games, and your forehead veins bulge out of your mind and you're going crazy and you're sweating and you're yelling at people because they don't know how to play the game properly. Or you're the person just enjoying it, and when things go to hell, you sit back and watch it instead of adding to the chaos. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to be able to control anybody outside of your own skull. And as such, you're going to get things outside of your head that are going to distract you, or people who are naysayers, or like even you yourself, you trying to escape, you giving yourself notice is the devil and yada, yada, yada. But it's inexplicable. You just have to sit here and be here now. And every time you're not here now, look around at least. Like every time you check back in, look around, take in your environment, give your, I feel like a lot of places and people use this, but the concept of giving yourself a body scan, like imagining a laser going up and down your body, or like maybe from the inside out, like do something like that to pull you into down. Because maybe when you run a body scan, you go, that's right, I stubbed my toe the other day and it still hurts, and you totally forgot about it. But that'll bring you back to now. Or maybe you'll feel, I'm hungry. Or maybe you'll say, my legs feel cold or whatever. It's cold in here. I had to get coffee. There's a heater over there. It's cold here in Arizona. Off topic, but still, it's unusual. And this is the coldest studio I've ever had. Anyway, point of the story is, here's where you are and here's where you will be. No matter where your thoughts are, you're here. And everybody and everything around you is continuing to flow and be a nice, beautiful part of this pattern. But when you're anywhere else, you're a deadline. Like another metaphor, even though it's not like this at all, but try and picture it and use this conceptually. Time and space is this huge fabric. If you've played Loom, right? That's a good reference. Luke from LucasArts played Loom. But if the concept of reality is this fabric, space, matter, the planets, the galaxies, you, me, bugs, birds, bees, and yada, yada, yada. What you have the capability to do while you're here is to be a wild color and a crazy design. But every time you're not here, you're checked out of your machine that's weaving you through life and time and space. You're a flatline. And all of that is just time you're losing. You're checking out. You're turning off life to time travel in your own head, and you lose everything here for the moment. Obviously, you're going to come back because it'll be dinner time eventually, or you'll hear a noise, or the mail will get here. Like, you can't spend eternity in the future or the past. But while you're there, you can do a lot of damage to yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just as easy to undo it. Like, it's as easy to do it as it is to undo it. You just have to start. And once you see that, like, coming back to now takes zero effort because you're always here. Do like something like that. If you like to wear beads like I do, you grab your beads and it'll pull you back really quick. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you'll fade off when you're doing your beads or whatever. But you'll slowly be raising your awareness to now. And when you're here, everything is easy. Everything just flows from here forward. When you're not, another metaphor is like, you're in a little canoe going down a nice little river, but you want to get down faster. What's around the next part? What was rocks and trees, and let's get there faster and faster and faster. Or you're sticking your oar and trying to drag and stay where you are because everything is you don't want to lose anything because everything you're seeing is so precious. You want to keep it for as long as you can. That's your memory. Or you're going to see like what's next. Either of those people, like, it sucks to be them because you're going to be wasting a lot of time and energy and resources and literally probably break your paddle if you're going to be doing that. Or you're going to be recklessly going forward and not paying attention now and, be sacrificed on a waterfall or over a rock or whatever. It's a bear, whatever. But if you're the third person who's here in the middle, just sitting in the canoe, waiting and seeing what's happening and, doing your best to maneuver with your paddle, now you can see the cliff and you can make the turns, you can do all that. And you get to enjoy the whole day. You're not constantly racing and leaving with no memory. Because all you remembered when you were supposed to be making new memories was the past. If you're still back there. Or you're running away. We run from one to the other because we spend so much time in the one it becomes frightening. Mm-hmm. And we take shelter in the other. But each time you can either start really going out, and that's like everything moves in a wave toward a center. Like, there's so many mental illness is full of things that deal with a wild shift in tone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm no doctor, but it just seems almost natural that if you were going to allow this pendulum and feed each swing so that it keeps getting bigger and bigger, eventually you get it down to a science and you would just be boom, 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 moving from one extreme to the other. Because you spent so much time away from center, you now avoid it completely.
Right. Yeah.
But that's just it. When you sit down and you're quiet, you're here and now, and there's nowhere else to be but now, you realize then you can go wherever you want on the board. You're not actively avoiding anything. You get to enjoy it all and be wherever. Every experience comes as a fresh new thing because you're not predicting it and therefore let down by it, or completely avoiding it, or not even seeing it because you're somewhere else. I mean, how many times in your life or my life or anybody's life where someone goes, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" But your mind was somewhere else, usually on the past or worrying about the future. And you go, "No, what?" And they explain to you the thing that you would love to have seen, but didn't because you were somewhere else. You were now. And that's just a small example. Like, you can be checked out for so long that you lose, you go, "Whoa, where am I?" And you lose a whole day at work, or you lose a whole day here, or some hours here, or minutes, hours, time, whatever.
That's like, that reminds me of when you're driving to work. Like, there's been times when I used to drive to work and wouldn't remember the drive to work.
Mm-hmm. Because your
It's
subconscious,
like autopilot.
yeah, your subconscious takes care of your survival while you check out and stress about where you're going or where you just came from.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is gone. Like, and sure, you say, "Well, it's just a drive to work," but how often does that happen? And if you're honest with yourself, it probably happens a lot. And
Yeah.
you may not even be able to be honest with yourself, because if you're not conscious of yourself doing it, because nobody is.
No, it's looking back and you realize, how did I get to work?
Well,
Thanks for driving.
but even then, beyond the work example, still, like, every time you do it, you're doing it because you want to do it. There's no gun to your head. You're doing it because you're trying to squeeze something out of it. It's still a want, even if you're doing it to try and fix, to learn, to yada yada yada. I don't like doing it, but it keeps happening. No. There's nobody shooting a little thought ray gun behind you. It's you, and you have to. That's the first step, is accepting that it's you, because who else could it be? You can play the victim card until you're dead, and then or you can be go nuts and say play the ultimate victim card to start being mean to other people or violent. Now the world owes me, but that's only for you to decide and for you to create. Like, nobody, barring some crazy mob or corruption situation, people don't give a fuck. You're basically cool for your entire life as long as you're right here, right now, and not worried about what could happen, what's going to happen, what might happen, and what has already happened. Shit. Because that's it. Well, when I remember things now, I go, "Oh, I remember that because I enjoyed it." The things that are pulling up in my memory banks off of these, external cues, if you will, are now like pleasant, more or less. And they're not necessarily different memories. I just can see them from a different aspect, because from here in the present, looking back, I get to pick apart what was useful and what wasn't. I don't have to force myself into the buffet of sorrow. I get to use them as a point of reference and a point of knowledge. And, even within blocks of bad memories, you're going to have good memories in there, so you can't cut them wholesale. And you're not really changing. There's no change. There's no mechanical. There's no physical. There's no psychological or spiritual change. You just drop it slowly at first if you have to. Every time you catch yourself somewhere that isn't here, and you go, "Whoa," because you know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's all if this were like told in the visual storytelling, like of television, whatever, you see like you were getting to warp speed on the Enterprise really quick, where it's like, and you're back in reality. That's what it kind of feels like.
Well, it's just like it's the feeling of like just staring into space and then blinking.
Yeah, and then you pop here. So yeah, like zoop, and so you go wherever you were and your light speed back to where you are, but you never left here. And you've seen other people do it. Like every time you are at work or at school or wherever you go to, you can see those people who check out and they get that 1,000-yard stare and they're anywhere but here. And 9 times out of 10, they look miserable. Sometimes you'll get the one who like check out to like have fun in their head, but oftentimes they're just like the 1,000-yard stare, holding their cigarette or holding their coffee or wherever you find them, zoning out. The most obvious places like restaurants and stuff, in between classes if you go to school. Where are you?
Yeah.
You're wasting now to be where? Here, but checked
Anywhere
out.
else. Yeah.
You get to be a flat line. You get to change whatever color your vibrant thread through the pattern of life is to like a dull gray and a flat line. Because your machinery is off. Your mechanism is somewhere else because it's running a different program on some other plane of existence that doesn't exist.
It's a different DOS.
Well, no, it's the same operating system. It's just running a different program and taking up all of your, you're out of it. There's no good way to describe it because language is woefully inadequate at this sort of stuff. But you have to if you need to make a bare bones plan, you're that type of person, then do it and say, every time this happens, I'll do blah. Like maybe, you get a nice little wooden or a lotus seed bracelet or whatever. And every time you catch yourself, you come back and do a little, I don't like rituals necessarily because they're easy to turn into full blown. It's easy to transfer, you know what I mean? If you're addicted to smoking and you stop smoking, it'd be really easy to get addicted to coffee if you get the metaphor here. But something that can bring you back that would not be something that you would then lean on as a crutch. Maybe take a deep breath or like whatever, count your beads or say Om 10 times or something that I don't want you to think it's going to be anything magical. It's just something that you're doing
To distract
to send some resonance through your body to bring you back here. There's nothing magic. If you're going to say Om or chant the mantra or whatever, use some beads or yada, yada, yada. Keep a pin cushion in your pocket and give yourself a little poke every now and then. I don't care. As wacky or as crazy as you want, keep a riding crop in your back pocket. Doesn't matter. Just realize that ritual is nothing more than bringing you back to now. And then you're there. And that's all there is.
I've been doing the breathing recently because last week or 2 weeks ago, I was having a lot of anxiety and it was really bothering my chest and stuff. And so we talked about, I don't know, whatever we talked about. And then I started, whenever it starts coming up again, I'd breathe, do the breathing, the deep breathing or whatever to distract myself from.
See, that's the problem. It's not supposed to be a distraction. You're focusing too much on the breathing. The breathing is now a ritual, and the ritual is now your religion. Because you're saying, breathe, focus on the breathing.
Well, it's to help forget about the
But you're
fact
not. You have told yourself every time you have anxiety, focus on breathing. So now focusing on breathing is a cue for you to be anxious. They are now one.
Oh, I don't feel like that's the case, but
I've done it, and that's how I felt. But if you literally just said you use it to distract yourself.
Yeah, and then the chest stuff goes away, and then I'm fine.
Right, but that's the point. Is like it becomes more or less a like you're focusing on your breathing, not necessarily now. Like as you are breathing, do you have maybe I'm jumping the gun. You have, what other thing do you do besides breathing to come to now? Because it's kind of I know I said it was easy, and it is, but if you are now focused on breathing, you have lost everything.
No,
again.
what I usually do is if I've started recognizing when I can feel anxiety or whatever coming up, and then I kind of like look around, or I play with Elliot, or I do whatever that I'm not already doing, and also do the breathing to help subside the chest.
So it's that's what I was looking for. Is there should be a little something.
No, I'll
more
do
than
something
just-
in right
Yeah,
now.
That's why I'm glad I clarified with you and
activity.
everybody. Is like if it is easy to get caught up in little things like that. So when you do that, make it something short.
Yeah, I don't shut myself out to go breathe. Like, and
Yeah,
then come back again.
Because I don't know. I just maybe I'm too touchy about this because of all of because breathing is such a focal point for so many reasons. Because it's a voluntary and involuntary action, because it's something you can control and you can count, and it regulates so many functions of your body, and yada yada yada. It just feels like there's so much weight on that now. It feels like people are breathing because it's medicinal. Like, because it's like breathing is being treated as something you need to take serious every once in a while to sort of be a medicine and a calmative. But it's happening all the time.
Well, it's just a different, if you can feel your heart racing, you take deep breaths. Like,
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like,
so in that sense, it kind of
right.
is.
I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying it gets a lot of pressure and a lot of, for instance, like if you go to a gas station that has one of those TVs on the gas pump now, they'll be like Maria Menounos, and she's like, hey, every time this happens, do this, and you'll solve your stress problems. Bye. And I don't want this to come off like that, because it's not, it's not like hey, you feeling murderous? Count to 10 backwards, and before you know it, the world is your oyster, and there'll be a rainbow over every tulip in your yard.
No.
No, you have to be real. You have to start with being real, realizing. Realizing means bringing something into reality. So when you know something intellectually, maybe you don't realize it. That's why you don't believe it. If you learn something but don't realize it, that's why you have to sort of break that word apart. Real eyes. Like we did that so many things in the 80s. You put eyes after something and put a ray gun in front of it, and you're like the something eyes-er, like the sharkalizer or whatever. The realizer is you. You have to realize the things that are happening right now. And it's, it's however you want to or can, or whatever way you can. But that's the thing. I cannot point to a thing at your feet so you can look down and see the footprints that you need to follow. It's a blind stumbling sort of, and I can sort of point you, and you can find books that'll point you in directions, or people or things or ideas or whatever. But until you trust yourself, like fully, you're not going to be able to move forward. Like that's part of it too. Since the path that we're looking at here is being manifested as we are making it, it takes a lot of strength to move forward, knowing that the void under your foot will be manifest when it comes to the proper point. You have to have faith in you. You have to trust yourself. You have to know that you are responsible for what you do. your karma, your action, and start now. Take action. Your actions, no matter whether you think they're yours or not, ripple out and affect everything around you. And, if your intention is now and pure, and by pure, I mean not tainted by the future or the past. Like you're just waiting for something to arise. And not necessarily waiting, but you're just being.
Mm-hmm.
You're just being. And when things arise, like you get hungry, you get up and you go eat. Or you get sleepy, you go to sleep. You wait for things to arise and you lift yourself to meet them. When a desire arises, come up then to meet it. Don't worry about waiting. Like it's not a game of whack-a-mole. Or what was that game? The one with the crocodiles. It's like whack-a-croc or something.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. That was my favorite. But it's not like that.
They slide out.
Yeah, it's not like you're not living life by those rules. Or you can. It's very stressful and you burn out quick. But it's not like that. You're not on guard with a hammer waiting for the crocodile so you can smash them. You're just here now and just enjoying things, keeping your eyes open, living here. So when the things do come up, you worry about them then. If you're worried about the next crocodile coming out, it sucks because you're in anticipation, you're in suspense, you are held.
So now okay, martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't, if you're learning martial arts, you're learning it for the future?
No, you're not learning it for anything.
Or like self-defense. If you're learning self-defense, like when we were learning, when you were teaching me all the sticks and stuff, it was for, not anticipation of the future, but for the future in the event something were to happen.
I mean, yeah, but so, like, that was a bare bones plan. I was, we were doing basic moves. I didn't say, hey, guess what? And roll out a big scroll and show you point by point where to and how to, right? No. Number one, we're doing it because it's enjoyable to do right now. There's no guaranteed benefit that anything will pay off in the future. So you're doing everything you're doing right now because you want to. If you're bored, you want to be bored. If you're excited, you want to be excited. If you wanted something else, you would get up and do it. But if you're authentic and real with yourself and responsible for your life, and you own it all, it's all good. Because if you can say, I'm bored, or I'm this, or I'm that, I'm happy, I'm sad, all of that, you get to choose. Unless you're not in control of the only thing you have, which is you. If you're worried about the past, if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about other people's opinions, how things from the past are rippling toward the future, that it's driving you along. No, it's all like when you see, like on a loom, when you see the finished side and you see all the beautiful little patterns, and then you see like all the unfinished stuff as it's coming together. Is the finished side like making the unfinished side?
Mm-mm.
It's not pushing it. It's not pulling it. It's just there. It's done. It happened. And the part that's being made doesn't care about what's been made. It's actively being made now. And it's not worried about what will be made in the future because it'll be made already. And that's where you are. You are, in your imagination, the metaphor is you are the thing, the Tao, the Buddha nature, the soul, the body of Christ, the whatever. You're that spark at the nexus where the fabric of time and space matter are all coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And to look back is like looking back in a car. You're just seeing your life pass you by. And if you look too far ahead, you're losing all of the crazy happening going on right here. And you're wasting all the potential that you get to enact upon reality. That's why some people are boring, because sometimes instead of turning it into like a destructive outward thing, they'll just turn it into a destructive inward thing. Like if you focus too much on the past, then you're mostly depressed and you just become a boring person. And then, you beat yourself up for being boring because you're sad, and you're sad because you're boring, and vice versa, and you encapsulate yourself. I speak from experience. Or the same thing about the future. When you're starting a new job or whatever, you can build yourself an anxiety cocoon. And the whole time you can't fix it. If, worrying until your heart explodes won't change anything. You'll be feeding microorganisms immediately, but other than that, nothing will change, because it's, let's say in this metaphor, when you see a tapestry being woven, that's not one single piece of string. You in the fabric of space-time get to exist, and then boop, you drop out. But if you're worried about the dropping out, because it's as you're coming off the spool, as it were, and being, manifest in reality. And if you're looking at that spool, waiting for it to run out, that's also miserable, because you're looking at, again, it's just to the future, but now to the end. But every piece of string or yarn or whatever you want to say this thing is being made out of, the universe is being made out of, it comes and goes. It's all being. It's like a loom that's making a tapestry that's being fed into a shredding machine that is making new string to keep making the tapestry or the rug or whatever. So it's just the same material going in and out. The colors change and the pattern changed, and it all just keeps going round and round and round. And to worry about the part, any other part where you are, any other part than you are, is crazy. Because it's going to happen regardless. The circle of everything is spinning and spinning and spinning. And to worry about the part that's already gone and how it's going to go or how it will come around, it's pointless. You're being made right now. To worry about the end or to fret about the beginning, it's over. It's done. It's already started. It'll end because it had to end because it started. You couldn't have started if it wasn't going to end. So here you are right now. And that's it. There's no other place to be. But if you want to, obviously, you say, well, I can't. I have to think about death because it scares me, and I gotta, it's blah, blah, blah. I have to come to grips with it, yada, yada, yada. Okay, well, if you think that'll work, keep doing it. Because there's only one way you can find out it doesn't. Year after year after year after year after year, you'll keep these things alive, thinking that any moment now, going over that same bit of information, that same bit of whatever, memory, will yield the thing that finally sets you free. But it's you. It's you keeping yourself there. So you can either work on making the pattern longer, more intricate, and more weird, and more diabolical, and make yourself into this monster of this, reliving of all this stuff. Or you can not worry about it because it's already made. It's already part of the grand tapestry of everything, and it's done. Everything lives on that razor's edge, which is where we are. Even if you're sitting still, it is here moving with you. Like time doesn't go anywhere. You say, well, I can hear the clock ticking. Yeah, well, without space and matter, time is nothing. What is space and matter without time? Could you imagine imagine if everything just froze? You can't imagine that because you'd be frozen too, which means you'd have no consciousness. Mm-hmm. So obviously time is moving forward. Disconnect from it until you need it. That's just something you have to do. And that's why, you say, well, I was doing something for the benefit of the future. well, then don't do it. Because there's no reason to. If it's not something you're enjoying now, but you're begrudgingly doing it for some future payoff, what? Number one, are you guaranteed a payoff? And number two, why are you doing something now that won't be any fun or of any use until later? Right?
Right.
I mean, obviously there are certain things you need the fullness of time and yada yada. That's why we're living in a non-duality or whatever, because time is a component of life. So you have it's not necessarily ignoring it or saying it doesn't exist, because it does exist. It's just not its own thing. It's part of a whole. It's often overlooked. You can say, well, what is space without solid? What is solid without space? Because you need space for stuff to be in, and you need stuff to be in the space to prove that there's space around it. But without time, you have neither of those. If time stops, consciousness stops, memory stops, everything stops. So we have a whole, because time is, I mean, you can break into three. If you want to keep it simple, we can keep it in two. If time on one hand is a concept, and then space, matter as another. Time, space. Because space includes matter, so yada, yada, yada. The time-space continuum, they call it. Boom. And that's just it. Time and space are what you have right now. Like we talked about amnesia on the last show. If you were wiped clean, everything about your past was gone except for your ability to like talk and eat, and you were still a functioning human being. You know how to do your job and everything. It would affect you zero. Your past does nothing for you. It does zero for you. We can prove it. People get amnesia. They still alive. They don't know who they are.
Don't know who they are.
Yeah, you don't need to know who you are or where you came from to know, or at least,
have awareness.
Have awareness of being alive. Nothing about your childhood dictates how your heart beats, how your lungs work, how your diaphragm expands and contracts, how the electrons and chemicals in your head move around. Has nothing to do with it. So why worry about it? Think about it all you want. It's not going to affect literally anything. Your past is not pushing you forward. It is dead. Dead as a doornail. But to throw some juice into it every once in a while, to make it dance like a Frankenstein's monster in our memory, it can seem that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing. If you because maybe that's why electroshock therapy works for some people, because if you're wiping somebody's memory,
yeah, they don't have anything to look back on.
You're losing all of the whatever. If it is actually wiping your memory, and it probably is because it's frying you, you're losing all the memory, and those that have fallen into the subconscious probably get fried, and the things that trigger them probably get fried, and you get to be whatever again.
Yeah,
but you can do that by yourself.
Without frying your brain.
Without frying your brain. With electricity or drugs or whatever. You just have to realize, it's just a matter of that. It's a matter of perspective. If you can see your past as because of your future, and not your future is because of your past. You have a future, but the past exists because of the future. You could not have started if you were not guaranteed existence. You, anyone watching, could not be here right now, born and living and walking and listening and being a conscious, sentient being, if there was not the potential for you to pop, exist, and go out through this pattern. And the past has nothing to do with it. It doesn't push it forward. It's not invoking some magic that's pushing. It's not like the past is not like a janitor sweeping the present toward the future. It's just happening as it goes. The past is happening because of the future. Because there is such a thing, a concept as the future, the past exists. But memory of the past doesn't drive you forward. You're not going anywhere because of it. Like the decisions you make are informed by a yes. So metaphorically, it is pushing you. but only if you let it. If you drop it and you don't let it dictate, and by it I mean the past wholesale, like as far as your judgments upon yourself, and you realize that yourself and your whatever your inner core you want to call yourself, the void, is the final here and now, and that's it. Boom, you're done. That's it. That's everything you need. Awakening. When you're here, that's all there is. The past isn't pushing anything. It's not pulling anything. It doesn't even exist. Me waving my hand. You see, there's nothing trailing behind it. There's nothing going anywhere into the past. I don't see anything in front of me. Because what's up, down, left, right, and center? It's perspective. It's all relative. So it's just a happening. And the past isn't pushing it. It's not a ticker tape being fed out of a machine. It's just this, and that's the thing. You can't picture it. You cannot describe it. I can, the loom metaphor, beautiful to look at, but nowhere near what it actually is. I can't describe it. It's just a thing that's happening. It's a process. The past is not making the process happen. The prospect of the future doesn't exist, but we still feel movement because we're all, energy, it moves through time. With no time, no energy movement. So you're here now, not worried about time as an enemy anymore, because time has just been created for meeting people places. Whenever you say a time, I'll meet you at 12:30, there's also a space attached to that.
Yeah.
Time, space. You can't say I'll be there at 7. And where is there? Right? There has to be a there and a 7.
Right.
And there includes space and solid and time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use it just for that, you say, I'll meet you, like you say, Wednesday at 4. Whoa. Then yeah, now you have a place and time, a bare bones plan at which you can come together and do something and live in that now. But beyond that, what good is it? You can't meet me last week. We can't do anything back there. And even up there, we still can't do anything right now until everybody involved with this understanding of time has come to the agreement that enough hash marks on a little dial have gone by. Because what is time? It's just something we look at. Because if you don't have a clock, does it stop?
Yeah, no.
No. It's just a tool that we use to meet people places, and that's pretty much it. Like, if the clocks stop and it's nothing's pushing us forward, and this is a good reference, but like in the Twilight Zone, you probably see this 100 times where the clocks stop, or any horror movie or sci-fi where the clocks stop to signify that time has frozen. And if that were true, you wouldn't be cognizant of it. You'd essentially be dead. Boop, lights out. Time stops, which is what happens when you die. You can't experience time anymore. No more time. But then you're not worried about it anymore. It's over. But you don't worry about that now. Right now, everything is fine. And if it were, boom, like let's say, something were to go boop, you wouldn't be worried about it. Because right now, you're fine. You know that eventually, everybody dies. It's been happening for millions and millions and millions and billions of years. To say it's not going to happen is ridiculous. But who cares? Like, you're not planning your funeral right now. There's no one being like, looking at a clock, ticking down away. No, you're right here, right now, and everything's fine. When it's not, you can deal with it then, but 9 times out of 10, it's fine. Even when things are bad, it's oftentimes just what you are projecting. Unless you are in immediate physical danger, it's often just a manifestation of like a bad business deal or an awkward relationship or a whatever. Unless your life is at stake. And even then, once it's out, there goes everything too. I don't have to worry about it because now it's over. But right now you got it. And now will always be now. You'll never be able to die and be like, I was alive then. Because it'll be done. Now is now, and it'll last for as long as it'll last. But to worry about it and to look down and to, whoa, where's the end of the river? I want to get the fuck out of here is basically what you're saying. To speed or to look and to search and to probe and to be afraid of, but to go despite it, it's crazy. That's why you're anxious. Because you say, oh, I wasted all this time. Time. I mean, what is that? Sure. You say, well, time, time has passed. I've said things. I remember things changing. So, yeah. But you were somewhere else. Time flies when you're not checked into it. November flew. I was not checked into keeping time at all, just enjoying life. And it went from the Halloween special over Raiders to Thanksgiving Day in like literally the blink of an eye because I wasn't focused on weekdays or weekends or clocking in or clocking out or worrying how I'm going to or where I'm going to or why I'm going to. I just get up and go through it. I don't want to fight it. It's your life. I'm going to fight all the way to your job and then fight every minute you're there, then fight all the way home and then fight through all the commercials of your favorite show that you're fighting to wait for because they haven't released the next one. You're fighting and fighting and fighting. Pushing, trying to get to work, trying to get home, trying to get to sleep, trying to... That sucks.
But why do you want things to fly by, though?
You don't, but you're doing it. We're always in such not the typical mindset is gotta hurry and get to work, beat traffic, gotta get into work, gotta get this thing done before blah 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 blah. Have to. Now I gotta go home. Now I gotta make dinner. Now hurry. Next. What's the next thing? So you're constantly with your foot on the gas, peeling toward the future that's coming as fast as it can. You can't change it. But you're just driving yourself mad and are miserable because you're just trying to put your head down and get through it instead of walking with your head up through your own life and enjoying it. That's all you have to do. You have a job, possibly. You're going to school, possibly. Maybe you're unemployed, I don't know, whoever. But hating what you're doing, even though you know you have to do it, do you do it, blah, 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 blah. If you don't like what you're doing, change it. If you like what you're doing, but just say, oh, I don't like the people, or I don't like this, I don't like that. I like, but get over that shit too. Can't change it. Or if you can, you would. So just go with it. Somebody is shitty at work, let them be shitty. If everybody has problems, but it's how much resistance you put up to them as you do battle, for something as benign as traffic, like no one else out on the road is out to make your day a miserable, experience. They're just trying to get to work too, but from behind these eyes, it feels like everybody out here should just be fucking gone. I need to get to work. This one. We're all water in a stream. We're all here because of and for each other. Because imagine okay, let's say you get your way and you go, boop, no traffic ever. So you go to work and there's nobody there and you get to go home. Roads are empty. There's nobody there. No people. It's just you. Cool. So the things that you need, for social interaction, for blah, 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 all the things we do for each other, you're willing to wipe out for traffic or whatever. It's so disheartening when I hear people say something like, oh, humans, and they disparage the whole race based on their personal experience. And it's all bringing from the past.
Right. Because
their past is pushing them forward, and they say, well, the past has taught me to hate human beings. All right. I mean, I was there too. I've been through the past. It didn't teach me that. Anyway, I feel like I've been going on for long enough. maybe I should open up. If anyone's still here watching, if you want to type in the typing square in chat, if you have any questions, comments, Krista, if you want to talk about something, I don't need to be here like tap dancing the whole time. Because I every time I do one of these, I think, yeah, do I have any material? Maybe I'll do like 10 minutes and then just go to bed. It's been an hour and
15 minutes.
something like that. But that's one of the things I like. I like to talk. And people who like to talk about things that you can't describe. That's why people like Jack the Ripper never solve that case. So you can talk about it forever.
Think they ever will?
No.
Hmm.
No, there's a 0% chance in hell.
What was that, like the 1800s?
1888.
Yeah.
And, whatever you can say from the canonical 5 to all the way to maybe 13 and beyond. But there's hundreds of suspects, hundreds of possible victims. They've all been dead for 1 million years. DNA is gone. It's like if you were to dig up a dinosaur and it was, in situ, and you were like, oh my God, this thing has like a knife in its whatever, and there it is. You'll never know. And that's the thing. Before we all were on board with dictating and transcribing everything for future use of the past, things just happened. There wasn't anyone asking why. Everything and everyone and every eye on the planet before humans, things just, the pattern of life happened. You were here in the now, and it flowed. You didn't go, oh, I always, when I was a kid, I always thought watching all the nature documentaries, you'd see like the African Serengeti and all the gazelles, and you see the cheetahs or the lions or whoever the documentary was about. I always thought, man, it must be just like nerve-wracking to be a prey animal, like to be a gazelle, always looking over your shoulder, always. But I don't think that's how it is. Because when you watch those documentaries, everyone's pretty relaxed until the lions get hungry.
Right. They probably have a pattern down, like where they know.
They wait and see. So when you see gazelle, when you see wildebeest, you see zebra, and they're all just fucking around out in the plains or at the watering hole. They look around, they're here now, they see no danger, they're cool as a cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
The predator animal starts showing up. That's when you turn things on. That's when fight or flight happens.
Yeah.
But if you're always in fight or flight because there's a boogeyman waiting around the corner, which is the future, or a ghoul with a knife ready to stab you in the back that is the past, yeah, I imagine that would be awful. But, for the gazelle, it's got enough memory to know where to go, when, why, how, and what. And it's got enough idea of self-preservation, which we can call the future, to know that if it sees something with sharp teeth and claws, it'll get the hell out of there. But every time in between then is probably just bliss.
Yeah.
Relatively, because, food and water and moving around. But, you're basically living your best life in between those 2 points. When you're born as a little gazelle or a wildebeest or a zebra or whatever a prey animal, a rabbit, you're probably not really that stressed until shit hits the fan.
Yep.
You see, the documentaries are all over the place. You see them running all over. No one cares. It's just because there's so many of them. They go, oh, well, whatever. Someone will see it. Someone will freak out. So they're using collective consciousness because they're all relatively dumb. So they're using each other as a safety net. The clever ones, the predators, they have a very sharp consciousness. They're able to weed and pick.
Yeah.
But either way, you have both of those faculties in you. Which do you want to be and when? They're either one, whether you're a predator or a prey, in between the times where things have to happen for something to continue. For the lions to continue, they need to kill something and eat it. But we go, oh, the zebra, or oh, the thing that got eaten. But nobody goes, well, at least the lion gets to live.
Yeah, that's true.
We all as kids go, oh, the poor prey animal.
That's
Watch-
like the pigeon and the hawk outside our window.
Yeah, you don't want to see the thing that has to happen. And when the thing has to happen, does happen, we identify with the thing that had to die.
You're right.
But we are perpetually in this position of the thing that gets to live.
Yeah.
Everything that we do is by virtue of the fact that we are a living stream of the things we eat,
Yeah.
which is right now. You know, right now you are manifest of everything that you have eaten, thought, blah, 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 blah. And the past has nothing to do with it. Your body is nothing from 5-10 years ago. It's relatively fresh. So what's the past to your body? Nothing. When this hair falls out, you dink. The past is nothing. It is disconnected. It no longer grows. It's been cut off. But that's when it can be whole, hypothetically and metaphorically, and if, you know, whatever. You say, what's the fundamental teaching of all this? You can go, that's it.
Oh, I have my first. I'm going to do a Reiki treatment after Christmas.
That's fine. But if you don't believe in it, you're just going to be spending money and or getting a coupon or whatever. For,
No, I've been wanting to do it for a while, and
Well,
so I'm interested in seeing how, like, what it entails and all that stuff.
yeah, but here's the thing. If you're looking to see what happens, you're accepting the fact that nothing can happen.
I don't know about that.
No, I mean, but that, how else would you put it? If you say, well, you know, I don't necessarily believe in it, but I'm going to see what shakes loose. You know, I don't know, but.
Well, how do you, like, you don't know what you're getting into when you go and do something.
Right, but then don't do it. If you do something,
Then you never do anything.
only the things you believe in. Right now, you get to choose what you believe. If you're doing things that are in contradiction of how you are right now as a person, you're going to get mixed results. If your intent is not behind the thing you are doing, you are creating the derision. It is schism. If you are not 100% behind the thing that you are doing, don't do it. If you are intending to be good and you do good things, then you're in harmony. If you intend to be good, but your intentions suck, or your intentions are something, but your actions are another, which often happens, whatever. But if you're doing something and you're like, I'm waiting to find out. If you don't believe in, like, if you're trying it because you're open and you're whatever, do it because you want to and because you have put stock in something.
Well, yeah, I want to do it.
Well, obviously, but doing it because it's like a Wine Wednesday sort of thing. We're like, oh, we're gonna go paint and get our Reikis done and yada yada yada. You know, this type of stuff. If you're going to be doing it, shouldn't just be like, oh, hey, by the way, I got a Groupon for a blah or a this. It's that, but that's the thing with a lot of people, not just yourself, is doing things to see if. If never happens, because the if is you. If you believe, then. If you go, I'm going to see if, nothing. If you believe, then. But if you go, then you basically you're flipping a coin because you're going to get mixed results. If something does happen and, you go, whoa, I wasn't expecting anything. Whoa. But then if nothing happens, you can go, oh, well, I knew. So you're building yourself up for two different situations where you can be pleasantly surprised, even though you can't surprise yourself. You go, oh, it did work and I wasn't expecting a thing. Or you got the built-in excuse of, well, nothing happened. And I was just going to see what it was like. Well, of course. Then you're flipping a coin. If you go in expecting what you're going to get, there's a good chance you'll get it. If you go in knowing you're not going to get what you're expecting to get, you won't get it. But if you go in with like a, Then if something does quote unquote happen, it'll blow your goddamn mind when it probably shouldn't. And if nothing happens, you'll be like, well, I knew. I just knew. It was for fun. I was just checking it out. And that's not the way to live life. If you're going to do that, then flip a coin for everything you do. But if you want to believe in your life and live right now, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. So the next time I say, why are you doing it? Don't be like, oh, just for this or that. I got the thing on the Facebook. And then there's a girl in the group where I was a follower. Whose life are you living? Facebook's? Some bitch? I don't know. That's the thing. Some other bitch, whoever they are, man, woman, female, male, indifferent, some other bitch ain't you. So if you say, oh, I heard about Reiki. Well, if nothing sparked, or you didn't look into it, or you don't believe it, don't do it. If you're doing it just for giggles, then tell me you're doing it for giggles, and don't tell me, I don't know, right? I mean, me, you, everybody in general. Don't tell yourself and your loved ones that, because you're going to set yourself up for just that, a mixed result. And you're constantly looking for results, but putting two eggs in each basket, sometimes you get both of them pay off and sometimes neither of them do. And you'll be completely confused as to why. I'm telling you, this is why. If you do anything right now without the intention to move forward positively, or however you want to say it, with intent, let's say, if you don't do something with belief behind it, then say that to yourself. Don't say, well, I'm holding out hope. What is hope?
Nothing.
Hope is just what we like to call anxiety. I hope it works out. I hope we get back from this surgery. I hope we don't crash. We always hope things don't happen. But hope, when you say it out loud, it kind of feels like it's anxiety inducing. Oh, I hope this cake doesn't burn. That's a good hope. But feels like you're predicting a bad future. We always hope bad things don't happen. Or we're hoping, hey, I hope you had a good holidays, or I hope you have a. Hope doesn't do anything. There's a saying in Buddhism, in Zen Buddhism, where instead of saying, take care of yourself when you're leaving somebody's company, say, take care, I hope you do blah, blah, blah. You say, treasure yourself. Because that's all you have. You have yourself right now. Whatever your self is, whatever you want to call the I, the self, whatever, you have that and you have now. Treasure it. Don't hope it gets better. Don't wish. Don't whatever you're doing that isn't action, your karma, if you will. Because thinking about the past, what action is that? None.
I like that. Treasure yourself.
Yeah, because you're not, hope to see you soon, or I hope you feel better, or I hope, or what. Take care of yourself. You're imploring them, to basically perform the rudimentary functions. Take care of yourself. Take care. Yeah, like a maintenance. No, it's not. Your life isn't like a quad you pull out on the weekends and got to wash and keep. It's not a mechanism. It's something you have once, provably, to this consciousness, and it's precious. It's not something that sits on the shelf that gathers dust that hopefully one day will bring wealth or whatever. Toys are meant to be played with. Life is a game that's meant to be played. Everything that's happened, happened. Everything that will happen, who knows? Maybe nothing. You don't know. But without you, there is no it. And without now, there is no you. Anyway, so I started wrapping up about 15 minutes ago, and now I'm going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening or putting this on in the background or whatever you're doing with it. If you're doing something with it, I appreciate it, especially if you made it all the way to the end here. If you haven't seen It's on YouTube here, but if you haven't heard it yet either, the last episode of the podcast is up there and also on the website. It's a pretty good one. Kayla, you and me were talking about Martian successor Nadesco. Great show. And Trigun. So plenty of touchdowns there for everyone involved. I guess that's it. Yeah, nothing new coming up. I'm trying to put some stuff together, but like I said, bare bones plan. So if it falls apart, if you got a stick resting against another stick, that's good enough a plan for me. One stick, not enough. It's got to have something to support it. I guess that's it. So yeah, guys, thank you guys and gals, everybody. Humans. Thanks for tuning in. Treasure yourself. Like the Buddhists say, and I don't know. I still don't have a way to end these shows.
And we're out of time.
So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
For the